Hey, what's going on everyone? Jay here from Square Pegs, and over the last couple of years I've talked to you about licensed video games and how I really don't think they suck. I think they get a bad rap for being licensed, and I don't think that's necessarily fair. So today I wanted to talk to you about not only licensed games, which I do love, but also one of my favorite consoles of all time, the Nintendo GameCube. We're going to be looking at 10 licensed games on the GameCube that don't suck. And we're starting right now. There's something to be said about a fighting game starring Godzilla where you beat up other classic Toho monsters. It is just... oh, just to quote the NWO, it is just too sweet! It is such a fun title. Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee was one of the first games that I purchased for my GameCube when I started collecting retro consoles again, because I had so much fun playing this when I was younger. It's just a classic game that executes everything perfectly. You feel like you are in a Godzilla movie. You are stomping around, destroying landmarks, destroying cities, fighting other giant kaiju, and really, I mean, what more could you ask for? It's just fun. It's a brilliantly designed game. It is super well detailed, and it features a ton of classic kaiju. You can't go wrong with it. This is a wonderful example of what an arena fighter could be when you just let things go and just let it be fun rather than trying to overcomplicate things with crazy different mechanics. It just works. It's just fun. I love this game. One of my all-time favorites, one of my absolute favorite games on the Nintendo GameCube, and you cannot go wrong, again, playing as the king of the monsters.
I have no idea, but let's stay focused. Let's use that fear, and let's go for another take.
We've kind of got a secret kaiju theme going on here between Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee and this game here, Peter Jackson's King Kong, the movie, the video game. It's a big mouthful of a title for a game. It really doesn't roll off the tongue very well, but luckily, the title does not belay how great of a game it is, because this game is absolutely fantastic. One of the things that I really dig about this is that you get very different gameplay elements based on who you're controlling. Because not only do you get to play as a human character, which is a first-person shooter mode, which is incredibly clever that they actually turn off the aiming reticles and any kind of heads-up display indicating how much ammo or anything you have left, which is really cool. You can turn it on, but having it off by default actually is pretty cool and a different way to play a game. But then you have the Kong levels, which are third-person, and you get to control King Kong himself as you're going around Skull Island fighting different monsters. It's just a killer game. I love it. There's even like an alternate ending that was approved by Peter Jackson, which is pretty clever. I really enjoy this one. This is a really neat game, and I think a lot of people might overlook it because it's kind of based on a movie that folks have forgotten about, but you should check this one out. It's really good.
More magazines on.
There are few universes I love more than J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, and I am kind of a stickler for accuracy when it comes to Lord of the Rings stuff, which is why I did not anticipate enjoying Lord of the Rings The Third Age as much as I did, because let's face it, this is the ultimate version of Tolkien's revisionist history. This is nothing that was in the books. This is nothing that was in the movies. This is nothing that was even in, like, the Silmarillion or anything like that. This was just a wackadoo idea that EA came up with that they executed brilliantly well, somehow. Like, all the Lord of the Rings games that EA did were really well done, but Third Age in particular was a spectacularly fun game. It's a role-playing game. It's a turn-based role-playing game where you play as kind of like the Fellowship B-team as you kind of go through the events of the Lord of the Rings film trilogy. And yeah, you're always like 3 or 4 steps behind the Fellowship. You're just kind of like cleaning up their mess as you go through Middle-earth. I love it. It's silly, but it's so much fun. It's just a really solid game, and I can't say that this isn't just a brilliant, brilliant decision by EA to just say, you know what? We're going to throw all caution to the wind and make something completely new and see what happens. First off, apologies for there not being any music playing underneath this, because this is Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2 Rogue Leader, and I don't want the Disney ninjas coming after me, so we're not playing any of the music from the soundtrack because they don't like it when you do that. Which is a shame, because this game rules, and everything about it is just fantastic. This series started on the Nintendo 64, and as much as I love the original Rogue Squadron 2 Rogue Leader is the epitome of the series. It is the absolute peak of everything that the series was attempting to accomplish. It has some of the best space combat ever. Like, just flat out ever. In any video game ever made, this has some of the best space combat. It puts you right into the different battles from the Star Wars universe. It is fun. It looks incredible, especially in progressive scan mode. It is just an absolute blast to play, and something that I think every GameCube collection needs to have in it, whether you are a Star Wars fan or not. It's that good of a title. And it's cheap. It is like dirt flippin' cheap to get into your collection. Absolutely worth picking up. If you haven't played this one, if you're a Star Wars fan and you haven't played it, you owe it to yourself to do so, first off. And if you're not a Star Wars fan and you haven't played it, put that bias aside and give it a shot. I think you're going to love it. Now, I'll be honest, I am a new convert to One Piece. I discovered the series via the Netflix live-action series that was out a couple of years ago, and it's something that I just love. I have a couple other One Piece games that I haven't tried yet on the GameCube, so this might be the worst of the three, but as someone who is a One Piece neophyte, I'm really enjoying One Piece Grand Adventure. Now, it is a delightfully simple game. It is an arena combat game where you control a member of the Straw Hat crew, and you have to fight and defeat the enemies for the objective that you are given. Now, sometimes that's wave after wave of enemies, sometimes that's one of the main characters from the series, but the gameplay is fun, solid, and easy to pick up and understand. There's different attack buttons, there's a jump button, there's a grab button, and it just works. The visuals are a little bit weird. They're a little bit more cartoony than I was kind of anticipating, I guess, which is strange since it's based on a cartoon, but it actually looks a little bit further down the cartoon appearance than even what the animated series has, but I do enjoy this one. One Piece Grand Adventure is a fun time. I'm a big fan of The Italian Job. I loved the movie, as dumb as it was, and it was ultra dumb. I just loved it. I thought it was an absolute blast of a movie. Just a fantastic cast with Mark Wahlberg and Seth Green and Jason Statham and Charlize Theron. It was just fun. It was a dumb action movie, and dumb action movies translate brilliantly to dumb action games. And this one here is a dumb action racing game. It is an objective-based driving game, and I love it. Take some of the driving experiences you would have in something like a GTA or a Mafia game, put some questionable physics in play, put you behind the wheel of a Mini Cooper, and off you go. You are playing The Italian Job. I really have a lot of fun with this game. Is it deep? It's about as deep as a puddle. It's not a terribly complex game. It doesn't have a whole lot going on for it, but for me, this is one of those games that I can just toss in and play for 5 minutes or 5 hours and not regret any second of it.
Be nice.
Let's go.
I'm going to confess right here, right now, I know nothing about Naruto. I have no idea about any of the lore, any of the story, any of the characters, none of it. It has never interested me in the slightest. Never been a thing that I've been curious about. But I got Naruto Class of Ninja in a Video Games Monthly box a couple of years ago, and I was fully anticipating hating it because I just didn't anticipate it being any good. And instead, what I got was a brilliant 3D fighter. It just works. It's really fun. You get a huge cast of characters, I guess, from the series. I don't actually know. There might be millions of Naruto characters that I don't know about, but you get a fairly large size of characters that you're able to pick from. The combat is well designed, the mechanics are really well done, and it's just fun. It's simple. Like, from what I understand, Naruto's a series about fighting, and that's what you get here. It works. It's a fun game. Is it anything that's going to break the, mold and be super special? No, not really, but it works. It's solid, and it plays great. That's all you can really ask for.
The more you will learn to harness them.
Now, you want to talk about a license based on a forgotten media property. This is TMNT, based on the film of the same name, which I think came out in 2003 or 2002. And I loved the movie. I thought the movie was absolutely fantastic. I thought this was going to be a new direction for the Turtles. And we got a video game on it, which I loved. This was actually the first game I ever got a 1,000 gamer score on for the Xbox 360. But it plays brilliantly well on any console you play it on. I just happen to love it on the GameCube because it just feels naturally built for that controller. This game is very straightforward. Much like The Italian Job, it's as deep as a puddle, but it is incredibly fun. You get to control every single turtle. You have objectives on every level you need to complete. There's nothing terribly complex going on here or difficult going on here, so it's one of those games that I feel is a necessity to have in a collection because you can give it to someone that isn't an experienced gamer or is a younger kid, and they will have success playing it and still have fun because there's a little bit of a challenge, but not so much that they're not going to enjoy themselves. I absolutely adore this game. I think it's based on a brilliant property that unfortunately has just kind of faded into obscurity, but definitely something worth checking out because the Ninja Turtles movie this was based on was fantastic. And if you haven't seen it, see it because it's wonderful. I won't talk about this one for terribly long because I've talked about this game numerous times on the channel in the past. And if you haven't played it or you don't recognize the game on screen right now, this is X-Men Legends 2. Now, you can't go wrong with either X-Men Legends game, but I just do think 2 plays a little bit better. This is based on the Ultimate Comics property from Marvel Comics, and you control the Ultimate versions of the X-Men and some of the X-Men villains. It is an action, top-down role-playing game that is a little bit Diablo and a little bit just kind of fun squad-based combat. I absolutely adore it. Every character has numerous upgrades and numerous abilities that you're going to be able to work with. There are fusion powers that characters will be able to utilize if they're teamed up with a particular character. There are amazing stage designs, fun combat, great boss battles. It's really just a wonderful title from top to bottom. I do, again, think people, if you're going to be just starting out with the Ultimate Alliance or the X-Men Legends series, start off with X-Men Legends 2 or Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1. I think those are probably the best bang for your buck as far as completeness goes of a game, but you can't really go wrong with any of the 4 titles there. Love this one. Absolutely wonderful experience. A fantastic action RPG, and definitely worth checking out if you are a fan of Marvel Comics.
Rooftop in Spanish Harlem. There's no other replacement for it in the world. So brace yourselves, folks. We got a great one.
This is the part of the licensed game video where people get pissed off that I'm using a sports title, but sports games are licensed games, especially because you have to have the license for every single player that appears in it. And NBA Street Volume 2 is probably my favorite basketball game of all time. This is such a wonderful title. It is the kind of epitome and the peak of what EA Sports big games were all about. When I did my EA Sports ranking video, card on screen right now for you to check out, I gave this an S because I think it is one of the finest games that Electronic Arts ever made. If you enjoy 3-on-3 basketball, if you enjoy arcade action with some incredible visuals and just fantastic gameplay elements, then NBA Street Volume 2 needs to be on your list to play if you haven't done so already, and I can't really imagine that there's too many out there that haven't. It's legitimately one of the greatest sports games of all time, and something that I think defines the 6th generation. One of my favorite games ever. NBA Street Volume 2 is a must-play for anybody. As always, this is just my opinion. There's 10 games on the Nintendo GameCube that I think don't suck, that are licensed games, that I think are legitimately fun. Your mileage might vary on these. There's always a differing of opinions, and that's beautiful. I think it's a wonderful thing. Games are meant to be loved by everybody. Your least favorite game is someone else's favorite game. It's one of my favorite things that John Riggs says. Let me know in the comments down below what licensed games on the GameCube you enjoy. Let me know if there's any I listed today that you just completely disagree with or that you are discovering for the first time. Until next time, folks, I've been Jay. Appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me. Remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.